I now call to order the sixth and final general session of the 54th General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association. I've asked Christina Rivera to come and do the chalice lighting for us.
Buenas tardes. One more time. Buenas tardes. I love it when you speak the Spanish to me. It's very good. So today at chalice lighting, I am joined by those very special youth known as preacher's kids. Annalie Derlin-Jones, Andreas Rivera-Young, Miguel Rivera-Young. And these kids know what it means to come early and stay late, right? Some of you know. But these are additionally blessed because in their case, the preachers are directors of religious education. My friend and DRE colleague, Leah Derlin-Jones says, as Unitarian Universalists, we are called to work together as one human family to create heaven here on earth through our words, our deeds, and our actions. The choices we make daily and the way we live our lives matters, from the words we use to the resources we steward. We light this chalice in honor of the ministry of all our religious educators.
Before I call on the Reverend Dr. Susan Ritchie, let me remind you, those whom you elected. Are we ready? Gregory Boyd, Tim Atkins, the Reverend Patrick McLaughlin. In the commission, these are trustee elections, the Commission on Appraisal, Kathleen Henry, Peter Candace, and Brian Chenoweth. Commission on Social Witness, Dr. Susan Geckler to a 4-year term, Richard Bach to a 2-year term. The Board of Review, John Bowman. The General Assembly Planning Committee, Isla Cleon, the Reverend Paul Langston Daly, David Rand, Reverend Jennifer Gray, and Catherine Allen to a 2-year term. The Nominating Committee, Elisa McDavid, Reverend Joe Cherry, Stephen Ballesteros, Aisha Hauser. So Susan, install these good people who have agreed to serve this association of congregations.
Guided by love for this tradition and hope for the future, this General Assembly has duly elected members of the Board of Trustees and committees of the association. We welcome their gifts, skills, time, sacrifice, and voice to be shared in love, trust, and dedication in the years to come. Please join with me as we covenant together to install these leaders into the offices to which we have elected them. May our Unitarian Universalist faith and heritage inform your work and deeds as you serve our leadership, our congregations, and our staff. May your efforts and work inspire goodwill among all.
I covenant to affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations.
As you signify Unitarian Universalism in the wider world, may you serve as an instrument of reconciliation, hope, and welcome.
I covenant to affirm and promote the goal of community, peace, justice, and liberty for all.
May you deal forthrightly and honestly with us, keeping foremost in your heart the health and well-being of our movement, speaking your truth without fear of repercussion, and encouraging others to do the same.
I covenant to affirm and promote the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process.
In the spirit of hospitality and understanding among people, may all who cross your path feel they have been heard and seriously considered.
I covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of all.
We covenant to encourage you and support you as you serve our movement. May our trust carry you through difficulty and triumph. In gratitude, we thank you for your willingness to serve.
With gratitude, I acknowledge and accept the trust you have placed in me.
Welcome.
Congratulations to all. I think we've got a pretty good slot of volunteers to serve us all. Yesterday, you voted to place 3 actions of immediate witness on today's agenda. Today, we will take up each of the 3 items, and according to the rules we adopted on Wednesday, we will have up to 20 minutes of debate for each AIW. And changing the rules for this particular General Assembly, any procedural discussions will not be included in that. The mini assembly, isn't the democratic process pretty cool? The mini assembly to offer amendments was held yesterday morning, so let me once again turn to Susan Geckler.
Thank you. In a moment, I will introduce the AIWs, but before I do, I wanted to mention that after the mini-assemblies yesterday, the CSW discussed the process by which we run those meetings. We acknowledge that some were particularly frustrated with the way things went in one mini-assembly in particular, and we recognize that the process did not go as smoothly yesterday as we hope it will in the future. We will work this year to adjust and strengthen our processes and our training, and will remain in dialogue and be open to input. I move that we adopt proposed 2015 Action of Immediate Witness C, end immigrant child and family detention now.
Thank you. Is there a second? Yes, there is. I heard one. Before allowing any amendments, I will ask the AIW proposer to speak in favor of that issue. I recognize the delegate at the pro mic.
I'm Mike Phillips, chair of the Texas UU Justice Ministry and a delegate with First Unitarian Universalist San Antonio. We proposed this and had lots of input from UUSC and
Mind your time.
URISE, and URISE helped us out. It was basically in response to our work in 2 women and children prison camps south of San Antonio that led us down this path to try to get this action of immediate witness, to end this detention of these families, to get them back with their relatives around the country, and to make sure they get integrated into this country.
Thank you. So thank you. I see no one at the con mic. Do you have any amendments? Did anyone, the unincorporated amendments? Let's see what we had on that. No one wants to speak to that? So we ready to vote? No, we have a con mic. I recognize the delegate at the con mic.
Thank you. My name is Kathy Zapata. I'm from Chalice Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Escondido, California. I think we can all agree that detaining families offends our Unitarian Universalist values. And yet, I need to point out that the administration's motivation, however ultimately disastrous the results were, in detaining families was to discourage other mothers from subjecting their young children to this dangerous journey. The administration had to counter the successful public ad campaign of the human traffickers, which falsely told Central American communities that the US government would give them a permiso, the legal right to live and work in the United States if they crossed the border with their young children. For those families fleeing gang violence, and not all are, many are economic migrants looking for a better life for whom the immigration laws of the United States provide no recourse. But for those families fleeing gang violence, they were lied to by the same gangs they were fleeing, who've expanded their profit centers into human trafficking. The only winners in this scenario were the gangs, who profit on both ends of this story. I'm an attorney for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Headquarters, and I worked on family detention issues. I'm not an apologist for the agency. A lot was done wrong, and a lot has changed because of the efforts of our Unitarian Universalist congregations, and more importantly, of the local activists on the ground in those communities. I have some disputes with some of the characterizations in the action of immediate witness, but I wasn't involved in the drafting of it, and I'm not going to pick it apart. I would point out, however, that the administration's policy has saved many lives, as far fewer families have attempted this dangerous trek this year, heeding the counter-campaign of the U.S. government and the Central...
Thank you. We're out of time. Thank you. I recognize, is there a delegate at the pro microphone who wishes to speak in favor?
My name is Katya Hansen, and I am a congregant and delegate from Palomar UU Fellowship, and I'm the president of URISE, Unitarian Universalist Refugee and Immigrant Services and Education. And I ask the body to please support this AIW without question. It's a multifaceted issue looking at people fleeing violence, fleeing abject poverty, but without question, the people who are fleeing that are making a determination that the dangerous journey and the horrible treatment that they are receiving in the United States is still less problematic than what they're receiving in their home countries. This is asking that we treat them better once they're here. It's not encouraging them to come, and it's certainly not in any way trying to help anyone who would benefit from that in a negative way.
Thank you. I see we have no one at the con mic, so are we ready to vote on the motion of the AIW? I'm nodding, yes. All right, we're voting on the main motion of action of immediate witness C, end immigrant child and family detention now. All those in favor of this AIW? Thank you. Opposed? Clearly, the motion has more than 2/3 support. The AIW is accepted. Thank you very much. So I'm bringing back Susan to give us the second motion, but I want to remind the delegates that we do have a rule that we have to be finished by 4:30. I believe we have plenty of time to debate this, but as we go through the procedures, Mike, and take that time off, just know that we are moving through the afternoon and watch the clock. By rules, we need to be finished by 4:30. Okay? I think we're good, though. Susan.
Thank you. I move adoption of proposed 2015 Action of Immediate Witness B, support a strong, compassionate, global climate agreement in 2015, act for a livable climate.
Thank you. Is there a second? Surely there is. I'll call on the delegate at the pro microphone to speak on behalf of this AIW.
Good afternoon. I'm Doris Marlin with All Souls Church, Washington, D.C. Thank you for advancing Act for a Livable Climate at our 2015 General Assembly, Building a New Way, and thank you to the 15 endorsing organizations to this action. Yesterday at mini assembly, many complementary amendments were welcomed into the body of the document to ensure that our collective voices and values are represented. The science is clear. Our principles are clear. The consequences of inaction are unspeakable. This is our last chance for a global climate agreement. The process has been unfolding for years to be finalized this December and implemented by 2020. But U.S. voices pressing government for a strong, compassionate agreement have been missing. The process cannot break now because there is no plan B. But will the agreement be weak or strong? Pope Francis has done his part. One purpose of his eco-encyclical was to raise urgent global awareness for the climate agreement. Now let's do our part. This action fortifies UU voices with the ask in every climate justice conversation we have for a strong and compassionate agreement. It's for our UU leadership in strong multi-faith partnerships on related actions, sending the message locally, nationally, and internationally to governments that we are united and serious in America about climate justice. Our ambition is the global climate agreement, but takes root in our local efforts. Let's not betray our children. Amplify for a strong and compassionate climate agreement. To change everything, we need everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, we will. No one at the con microphone, so I'll go to the pro microphone and recognize the delegate there.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Hello, I'm Bill Repsher, and I'm a delegate and congregant at UU Congregation of Fairfax in beautiful Oakton, Virginia. Fellow UUs, fellow delegates, the science of climate change is clear. The terrible consequences of humanity's failing to come to grips with climate change in a timely fashion are clear. The disparity between the world that our children and grandchildren will inhabit with a radically altered climate and a world, on the other hand, consistent with our UU principles is tragically enormous. In November, under the aegis of the UN, the nations of the world will gather in Paris for the purpose of negotiating an international agreement to address climate change. It is widely believed that the Paris negotiations represent humanity's best and only and last chance, our last chance, to reach an accord that will avoid the most catastrophic effects of climate change. In light of this, wouldn't it be a splendid idea for we UUs in the coming days to strongly participate in pressing our government to do everything in its power to secure an agreement in Paris which, while fair and compassionate, is also, and very importantly, strong, fully effective, and enforceable? Well, that's exactly what this AIW urges us to do. And that's exactly why I'm here recommending earnestly that you vote to approve it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I recognize the delegate at the procedure microphone.
Yes, my name is Ted Danielson. I'm from Northwest Unitarian Universalist Church of Southfield, Michigan. I'm confused here by unincorporated Amendment B as shown on page 6. It says to delete lines 10 to 12 and 22 to 26 with the reasoning that it requires more discussion. I don't understand what they would do if we were to do them. It deletes 2 lines out of 1 because clause, takes a line out of a 3rd because clause, and then puts 2 of those together in a way they just don't make sense.
Excuse me for interrupting, but the procedure is that we will go to the unincorporated amendments.
I'm trying to understand it.
They will explain it when they move it. if the
I'm
body
trying to
wants
decide
to
if I want
discuss
to move it.
the amendment is going to be moved over here, and the body will decide whether to bring that in and debate it. So that's the procedure. I'm answering your procedural question, I believe. Thank you.
Okay.
And I recognize the delegate at the procedure microphone.
Reverend Neil Anderson, Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northern Nevada. My question is regarding line 42 through 47. I just wanted to help to understand what it means for us to endorse a delegation to the UN Climate Agreement talks in December 2015. Will we be sending a delegation to Paris? Who will be going on our behalf, and how would they engage in those talks?
I'll call Susan forward to answer that question. It's part of the content. I'll rule it out of order, but thank you for raising it. We can now go to the amendment microphone. I recognize the delegate at the amendment microphone.
I'm Karen Schaefer from the UU Church of Idaho Falls, Idaho. And I wish to speak to the first two lines of this. It says, global climate change is fundamentally a moral and ethical crisis induced and exacerbated by human activity that can and must be modified to maintain a livable world for ourselves, our descendants, and other species. I am supporting a change, Amendment C, remove the word human and put in unchecked population growth and activity. I think we need to be more specific about what that human part means. Despite what the business world promotes, that growth is the model of success, you and I know that it is not a sustainable model. You and I know that it is not the quantity of human life we value most, but the diversity of the human expression we cherish. Please vote to amend this opening statement so it reflects our need to maintain this delicate, this essential balance for the sake of the green sanctuary.
Okay. So the delegate is, and it's line 2, I should point out, not line 5, not line 4. So you're moving to move unincorporated amendment C to add back in that language.
Yes, sir.
Is there a second? There is a second. So we'll go to debate this amendment. Is there someone at the pro microphone that would like to speak to this? Is there some? I recognize the delegate at the pro microphone.
I'm Mariana Tubman from the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Redwood City, California. I've been involved with the population issues for a long time, and I heard a presentation by John Seeger, who is the current head of Population Connect, formerly known as CPG, and he said that 40% of the impact of climate change is due specifically to population growth, and it's not talked about enough, but it is a major driver of the problem. And given that Pope John, our new Pope, even though, well, not our new Pope, the world's new Pope, has specifically avoided that issue, while at the same time probably motivating and supporting a lot of us in bringing the issue to the attention of the world. He specifically avoided the issue of that, and given that the huge movement in this country and in other places to make it harder for women and families to access birth control, I think we really need to highlight it, and that's why I support this amendment.
Thank you. I'll go to the delegate at the con microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bill Repsher again. The position of the folks that have put this AIW forward is that there may be something to talk about eventually on the population issue, but that the real problem today is that the developed nations on a per capita and aggregate basis are the overwhelming causes of the high level of greenhouse gases that are going into the atmosphere. And the problem we have to address right now is primarily that. And adding this language, this amendment in, would create unnecessary diversion from that fundamental fact. And also it would tend to be kind of divisive because it does, could be a stumbling block for our relations with other congregations, religions and denominations and so forth. So, but the main thing is that we are the ones, the developed countries, and especially the United States, that are causing this problem right now. It's not the poor people in all these countries that maybe don't have enough birth control. It's the people here and now that's causing the problem. And that's why we would strongly suggest that you reject this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anybody at the pro amendment that wants to speak in favor of this unincorporated amendment. Now I do. I recognize the delegate at the pro microphone.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Ross Quinn. I'm not a delegate, sir, and I request,
I'm sorry.
I request permission to speak in favor of this amendment as a
I reluctantly
non-delegate.
have to say no, since you do not have delegate status. I recognize the familiar delegate at the procedures microphone.
That was very funny, Mr. Moderator. Jim Cravar.
I meant it to be affectionate.
Church of the Larger Fellowship. Sir, I would like some clarity on what this unincorporated amendment would, what the language would actually look like were this unincorporated amendment C be adopted. I'm not clear on where it would be added in the opening statement or what the opening statement would then look like.
Fair question. Let's try to answer that for you. Susan, it seems pretty clear to me, but I want to make sure I get it right since...
So the word human comes out, and then this phrase gets inserted.
Okay. I think it's this reasoning.
Yeah. What you're asking is, what would the statement say if we incorporated it? The beginning would say, global climate change is fundamentally a moral and ethical crisis induced and exacerbated by unchecked population growth and activity that can and must be modified to maintain a livable world for ourselves, our descendants, and other species.
Thank you. That's
much
clearer.
Great. So which one is up next? I've lost track of who was the, we have a con is next? Thank you. I'll recognize the delegate at the pro microphone.
Yes, my name is Case Kolf. I'm from Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Port Townsend, and I would like to call the question on this particular amendment motion.
Very good. Second to that? Thank you. Are we ready to vote? Okay. What we are voting on is whether to incorporate, I'm sorry, we're voting on whether we want to close debate and vote on the main motion. On the amendment. We're calling the question on the amendment to stop debate and vote whether we want to take it or leave it.
Good job.
Thank you. So we're ready? Those who want to vote in favor of this unincorporated amendment and insert.
Closing debate.
Those who want to vote in favor of closing debate, raise your hand. Thank you. Those opposed? Very good. I think we're closing debate on this. And the off-site are pretty close. 24 in favor, 26, 27 and growing. But clearly, the debate is closed. So do we have another amendment? No. Ha! Okay. So are we ready to vote on the main motion? Why can't we?
What? You have to vote on whether to incorporate the amendment.
Oh, that's right. We haven't even voted on whether to incorporate the amendment. There we go. I'm way ahead of you. Those in favor of incorporating the unincorporated amendment to add that language, which is Amendment C, line 2, I think. All those in favor, vote aye. Thank you. Those opposed, clearly we will not include this amendment. Thank you for your patience.
We're back to to the main motion.
Are we ready to vote on the main motion? No.
No one, someone got the procedure mic.
I call on the delegate at the procedure mic.
Reverend Neil Anderson, Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northern Nevada. I'm going to try this again. Point of information.
Okay.
Now I'm going to read this question from the program, and it says, what is the cost to the UUA of this action of immediate witness?
If any.
If any.
If any.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have someone in the House that can answer that? I recognize the delegate at the pro microphone.
Doris Marlin, All Souls Church, Washington, D.C. The intention is that there will not be a cost. We are looking for an endorsement of a delegation. However, because this hasn't passed yet, we don't know exactly what it would be. We don't know what would be supported. So the answer is no cost, subject to change.
Thank you. And these do not commit to the association to do anything relative to spending money. So I recognize the delegate at the procedure microphone.
I'm Bob Denniston, UU Church of Arlington, which is in Virginia. Seeing many people at the pro and none of the con, I would like to move we call the question.
Thank you. Is there a second? All those in favor of closing debate and going to the question? I think we know the answer to this. Thank you. Those opposed? We are going now to the main motion. We don't have any amendments lined up. Okay? I see somebody approaching the procedure mic, so I'll wait a moment to see if it's in order. I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Jasmine Walston, First Unitarian Church, Louisville, Kentucky. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I would like to ask that we be very respectful of our off-site delegates and that you be sure to take a look at their votes and make note of their votes to the delegates in the hall before you call the vote. I know their number is so small that it will not overwhelm our numbers if we have an overwhelming vote, but that might not be the case in the future. And the fact that we respect or don't respect the off-site delegates may make an impact on whether or not people choose to become off-site delegates.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
I accept your recommendation. We do have a off-site delegate in the procedure queue, so I will go tech. I'll ask you to patch in the procedure mic queue. Do we have that delegate? Do I have a delegate on the line? We can hear you.
Is that me?
We can hear you. Go on.
Oh, well, I'm canceling. You've already taken the vote.
Could you restate that? I can't hear you. I can't understand it.
Canceling my procedure. You already took the vote.
Can you understand? I'm sorry. I can't. I need some translation here. We haven't taken the vote. We're getting ready to vote on the main motion. Is there a procedural question about that? Oh, you had it previously?
No. It was previous.
I apologize for not going to the mic. I didn't to the queue. I didn't see it, so I greatly regret that. So I'm sorry. You want to raise it now? Let me determine that's out of order. We'll take this offline. Okay? Thank you. So we've called the question. We are voting on action of immediate witness C, end immigrant child and family. I knew that. We did that one already. Action of immediate witness B, support a strong, compassionate global climate agreement in 2015 Act for a Livable Climate. Are you ready to vote? All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Thank you. Let's see what our off-site delegates are voting. Wait for that to be added up. They're still voting. The number's climbing. All right, we have 59 in favor, 60 and climbing, and 3 opposed. The motion carries. Thank you. Susan.
Before I make the motion on this, I want to apologize. I realize that the line numbers referenced in the unincorporated amendments do not match the line items in the text. I will do my best to try to help you work through which ones they would be referring to after I make the motion and we get to the amendments. Apparently, the printer changed the line numbers when it was formatted differently, so I apologize about that. I move adoption of proposed 2015 Action of Immediate Witness A, support the Black Lives Matter movement.
Thank you. Is there a second? All right. Let me get my... Before allowing any amendments, I will ask the AIW proposer to speak in favor of that issue, and I recognize the delegate at the pro mic.
Hello, my name is Isabel McCurdy. I'm the delegate from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Chattanooga, Tennessee. This is an action of immediate witness. I'm going to say that one more time. This is an action of immediate witness. Words can often be misconstrued if you see them too often. This is an action of immediate witness. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll recognize the delegate at the pro microphone since we have none at the con. I think we need to hear from some more.
I'm short. My name is Elandria Williams. I'm a delegate from Tennessee Valley U Church in Knoxville, Tennessee. A place where the standing on the side of love came from because of a church shooting, and a place where a church burning happened this week. They are completely connected. Somebody in my church was shot and killed. Jake Morrill, who a lot of you know, sister wrote a piece that was really beautiful around why this matters and why we as a faith community have to stand with people regardless, because we know what it means to go through this just as much as everybody else. So me as a person who is Black identified, who is also a UU and a proud one at that, need you to support us and everybody else, because we do believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, which means we believe that Black lives matter, that our children matter, that our families matter, and that all of us, Black people's bodies are sovereign, just like all of us want our bodies to be as well. So if you actually want to stand with all of us, including the people in this hall who need you, please vote for this amendment, vote for this action, and take action today at 4:30 out in front of this place, because in Portland right now they're on a decree because they are doing shooting here too. So stand with the people in Portland and stand with the people in this assembly.
Thank you. No. Hold on just a minute. I think we've taken care of that request. So I see someone at the con mic, and I go to the delegate at the con mic.
My name is Reverend Dr. Finley C. Campbell, First Unitarian Church of Chicago lay member. and a member of the Unitarian Universalist Multiracial Unity Action Caucus. It is with a heavy heart that I must oppose this act. My 80 years of living from segregated to integrated to a multiracial world forces me to say no racial specification of life will be considered positive. There are certain black lives that do not matter to me. Dr. Carnell West's life, Eric Holder's life, Clarence Thomas's life. These word black without class content gives a blanket support to those on the other side of our faith and our dreams and our vision who push racism like the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and others. If the motion said black working class lives mattered, then they would have my support. But this universalizing of blackness as if it somehow protects evildoers like Condoleezza Rice and others burdens my heart. And so I know I am standing here alone. But on this issue, I must say honestly that this is an artificially created movement created by 3 black queer women working for a large capitalist-led foundation, the George Soros Foundation, to build racism. The lives of the Inuits matter. The lives of the Melanesians matter. The lives of white farmers who are losing their land to this climate change matters. The life of the brothers and sisters in the Katrina areas of the hurricane districts matter. The life of this earth matters. But to signify a particular racial group as being the one that truly matters, eliminate...
Thank you. Thank you. I go to the, is there a delegate at the pro mic which wishes to speak? Yes. I go to the pro mic.
Hi, I'm the Reverend Sophia Betancourt. I am a delegate from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, California. I absolutely agree, Findley, that racial categorizations have been constructed. They're sociological, they're not biological. But just because they are constructs does not mean that they are not still used to target specific members of society. I have said in my own congregations that when we say Black Lives Matter, there is no part of any one of those words that says that anyone else does not matter. In fact, the very assumption that by saying Black Lives Matter, we erase all other mattering is part of the problem itself. Black lives matter because they are systematically, institutionally put at the bottom of the list. Now, we know that other identities are also targeted for violence, for oppression, for lack of equality. Right now, there is a movement responding to the blood running through the streets of the United States of America. And I know that my faith needs to be on the front lines in reminding everyone that that is unacceptable. Black Lives Matter. Hear the voices of our youth who will be living the work that we are doing right now. Please vote in favor of this action of immediate witness.
Thank you. Let me suggest we take a moment to pause and think about the language we've heard and the sensitivities that we've struck, and the hurting that's going on in this hall right now. So I would ask for just a breather before, there being no one at the con mic, we will go to the amendment mic, but I want to pause and breathe. Thank you. There being no one at the con mic, we can now go to the amendment mic and consider one of the unincorporated amendments.
My name is Reverend Mike Young. I am the delegate from Canoga Park, California. At line 36 in this document, it says that the General Assembly recognizes that a system that allows oppression to thrive is not a system that can successfully undergo reform. I want to tell you that I was for 13 years law enforcement officer in the juvenile section, and we lowered the recidivism rate from 33% to 11% and kept it there. We lowered the entry rate, that is, when a kid gets arrested, is he put into the system, from 78% to 35% and kept it there. Later, I worked in Tampa, Florida on the Chief of Police's Community Relations Council, and in the space of 6 years, we took a police department that was a typically Southern 1920s police department and brought it into the 1980s. I hope they've gone a little farther since then, but we did it that far. I know that the system can be reformed. I've done it and have continued to do it, harassing LAPD just recently. This is something that we need Unitarian Universalists involved in. Your local law enforcement agencies are indeed amenable. There are people within them that want to see them reformed. They need your support. The notion that we could somehow abandon that whole system is highly unrealistic. Vote to remove lines 36 to 38.
Let me clarify that. We have not accepted the amendment yet. So is there a motion? What I'm asking you to vote on is, do we want to accept that amendment, unincorporated amendment C on page 3?
That's correct. It's deleting. Deleting lines 36 to 38.
Deleting lines 36 to 38 and then adding that language. But I think the notion here is
not adding any language. It's just deleting.
Just deleting it. I recognize I'm really frustrating you, and I'm sorry. I really am. I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Sadly, I rise again, Mr. Moderator. Jim Kravarik Graham from the Church of the Larger Fellowship. This seems to me to be an amendment that was never offered at the mini assembly. There are no amendments. It's out of order.
No, it came from the mini assembly.
It's not in the unincorporated amendments.
Yes, it is. That's what we're talking about.
No.
It's on page 3, unincorporated amendment C. Line number's wrong. The line number's wrong. You're welcome.
We got it?
I do. So let me repeat it again. We're voting on whether to accept unincorporated amendment C, which deletes lines 36 through 38. Have I got that one right? I haven't recognized the procedure mic yet. I'll recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm Richard Bach, member of the CSW.
Thank you.
And as our chair indicated earlier, the unincorporated amendment line numbers are incorrect.
Right.
And you are now correct in drawing to the delegate's attention that unincorporated amendment C should read lines 36 to 38.
Thank you for clarifying again. Thank you. So I've got a procedural question from the off-site delegate. Tech, can we bring them on? Off-site delegate in the procedure queue.
Hello.
Yes, we hear you.
This is Alan Lindrup. I'm a off-site delegate from the First Unitarian Society of Chicago. I asked that you be in this queue, and not knowing that this amendment was coming up, but it relates to this amendment, and whether the word system meant that this current wording was calling for the abolition of the whole criminal justice system, meaning the police, the criminal justice court, and the prisons and jails, etc. I wanted a clarification, is that was the intent, writers?
Do I have somebody from the CSA that can speak to that clarification? So it's not language proposed by the CSA. Had trouble with this last year, and their reasoning was it warrants further discussion. Does that answer your question? That's the original language.
There's wording current AIW that uses the word system, and I wanted a clarification as to whether the writers of this AIW wanted to, by this wording, abolish everything relating to the criminal system, meaning the police, the criminal justice court, prisons, and jails, etc.
No. I think there's someone at the con who... Someone at the con mic? Yeah. Oh, yes. I recognize the delegate at the con mic.
I'll talk. Hi, my name is Colin Lucan from the Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of New Jersey. And first of all, I want to say that we are not saying to get rid of jails. This spring, I attended the Unitarian Universalist United Nations Office Spring Seminar. There, we talked about punitive justice and going from punishment to restoration. What we're talking about is that when you are done with your jail time or done with the time you served, to be brought back up into the community so that you are not put into that situation again because of the systematic racism in America. That's what we are talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is the Reverend Eric Kamenetsky. I serve our congregation at Edmonds, Washington, and I am a delegate. I have 2 points. First, I did not hear if the amendment that is being discussed and debated had a second. Secondly, it would be helpful to the gathered delegates and other members of this body if when someone speaks from the amendment mic, after identifying themselves, they also identify the amendment to which they wish to speak.
Fair enough.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Fair enough. I thought I heard a second, but is somebody want to offer one? We got one. I go to the pro mic, the delegate at the pro mic.
Yes, my name is Pat Egenberger. I'm a delegate from the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Stanislaus County in dry Modesto, California, which is much in need of some help with climate change. I am speaking in favor of unincorporated Amendment C, which would delete lines 36 through 38. Not that I don't understand or appreciate the spirit in which it was written, but I feel that as stated, it is too vague and sweeping and does not clearly state what it intends to say.
Thank you. I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
My name is Case Kolf. I'm a delegate from Port Townsend, the Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I would like to call the question, please.
Is there a second on that? So we're voting on whether to call the question. All those in favor of calling the question, raise your card. Say again? Call the question on the amendment. Thank you. Opposed? I think, we've called the question. That's been passed. Okay. Are we ready to vote on the amendment? No, we have a delegate at the procedure mic.
My name is Jim Lee. I'm a delegate from the UU Church of Spokane, Washington. I just want clarification. It appears to me that the wording in lines 36 through 38 are identical to the Amendment C.
That's right. The amendment was to delete it.
Okay.
That's what we're debating. That's what we're discussing. So we're now ready to vote on it. Yes?
So all those in favor of deleting lines 36 to 38.
So all of those in favor of deleting those lines, please raise your card. Thank you. Those opposed to deleting that, leaving the language intact, the motion passes to delete it. We're deleting lines 36, 38. That's what we just did. Are we cool? Lines 36 offline we have, thank you. Whoops, there we go. Rising off-site. So thank you. I think the motion clearly passes. Thank you. I go to the amendment microphone and recognize Susan. You got to be really crazy here. Recognize the delegate at the procedure microphone.
I'm Karen Marler, a delegate from Woodinville Unitarian Universalist Church, and I'd like to call a count on the vote that just happened on Amendment C.
Okay. Is there a second on that? All right. We need tellers to help us with each section. Denise, are you set up to do the count? I recognize the delegate at the procedure microphone.
Mr. Moderator, my name is Peter Friedrichs. I am the pastor of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Delaware County in Media, Pennsylvania. I wanted to point out the fact that there was confusion, at least among a few people around me, as to what the vote meant. Some people thought that a vote in favor was in favor of the language, not in favor of deleting the language. And based on that, I would encourage us to have a recount.
That's what we're doing now. We're going to call the vote.
We're going to re-vote again?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's right. We're going to count it this time. So help me rephrase that so we're really clear on this.
Did he vote in the majority?
The delegate that was just at the procedure mic, did you vote in the majority?
He voted against it? Is there? You did not.
He voted against.
Is there anyone who wants to move to reconsider it who voted in the majority?
Could you come forward to the procedure mic?
So we can not deal with counting, just re-vote it.
Help me phrase it.
Sure.
Let me recognize the delegate at the procedure mic so we can hear you.
I'm Elizabeth Eccles from the Davies Memorial Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm a delegate, and I did vote in favor of this. However, I thought that we were not going to delete the language. I want the language to stay in.
So you want to move for reconsideration of
Yes.
the vote?
Yes.
Thank you. If you want to delete the language in lines 36 to 38, vote yes.
Okay.
If you want to keep them out, if you want to keep it in, vote no.
I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Valerie White, Unitarian Church of Sharon, Massachusetts. It was my understanding that a request for a count had to be supported by 100 delegates.
We're not doing that.
We're not.
We've got a motion for reconsideration.
It's not a recount. It's not a count. It's a reconsideration.
It's a reconsideration.
Okay.
So I'm going to have the lawyer restate it so I don't further confuse things.
If you want the language deleted, you vote in favor. So the first time Mr. Moderator asks you to raise your card, you raise your card if you want lines 36 to 38 deleted. Everybody good with that? If you want lines 36 to 38 to stay in, you vote no, which means you don't want them deleted. So the second time Jim asks for cards, you raise your card. Everybody good with that? Anybody unclear? Gee, that's amazing. I don't hear of one voice. Okay.
Thanks. I recognize the teller at the procedure mic.
Point of information, as Jim, Moderator Key asked you to raise your cards, the ushers will come through and count.
No, we don't need to do that.
We don't need
We're not
to
doing a recount. We've simplified it.
Thank you. I'm with you.
Okay. Are we ready? All those in favor of unincorporated Amendment C, which deletes line 3638, raise your card. That's more understood. Thank you.
Can we get some lights on?
I should have reported earlier, we're trying to get lights on in the hall, and we're having some difficulty with our lighting, but I can see well enough, I think. What do we have off-site in favor? Have they voted off-site?
30, 40 to not.
All right, thank you. You can drop your cards. Those that are opposed?
It's not close.
It clearly passes. Thank you very much. Sorry to create so much angst in the system. I recognize a delegate at the amendment microphone, and let's see if we can talk about it clearly.
Thank you. I'm Farrell Masters from the Unitarian Universalist congregation from Greenville, North Carolina, and I would like to move unincorporated amendment D.
B as in boy?
D as in dog.
D as in dog.
To replace lines 34 and 35 so that the statement reads that the 2015 General Assembly encourages member congregations and all Unitarian Universalists to work making police reform and, delete that, to make Universalists work for police reform to eliminate racial profiling, harassment, and excessive use of force. We also call for reform of our justice system to increase support and rehabilitation services, to explore transformative justice, and to make incarceration a last resort.
Thank you, but before you go off mic, tell me the line numbers again so we're all clear.
We're replacing lines 34 and 35. 33 stays the same, and then we just continue from there with the new language.
In your orange sheet, page 3, unincorporated amendment D, that should read replace line 3435. Yes?
Correct. The top bullet on that.
Is there a second?
My mic? Is there a mic?
Thank you. I recognize the delegate at the...
Explain why he wants to do it.
I recognize the delegate at the amendment mic. That's the cue, so you can explain.
Okay. At the mini assembly, there was a lot of discussion. Many people wanted to delete this whole section. Many of us felt that it needed to be included but reworded. A group of us went out to discuss it and came up with this language because we felt it was very important to include police reform and prison reform, but we felt that abolition of prisons was not practical and was something that we really could not ask to do. And that is why we came up with this rewording. We felt that it explained more clearly what we were concerned about in harassment and racial profiling and forcing our young men, especially young black men, into the prison system, which essentially can end somebody's productive life.
Thank you. I recognize the delegate at the con mic.
So this, Elena Williams, CVUC, this might be a little shocking. As someone active in the Black Lives Matter movement, who refuses to let anyone say it was started by 3 of my friends because of a foundation, when I know where it got started because I was there, and we've been in the struggle for 400 years. I would rather my faith don't vote for it at all if you don't vote for the thing we actually want. So let me say it one more time. As someone who will be helping run the Black Lives Matter National convening at the end of July, and as someone whose friends are dying in the streets right now, I made a decision to come here and not be at the United States Social Forum in San Jose or Philly or Jackson, Mississippi, to be with you. I would rather, my people would rather, for the people that when I say my people, I mean the Black Lives Matter movement people who are fighting for abolition so that my brother is no longer in jail, so that people in our reality, it is about getting rid of jails because jails aren't a solution. If you think they are, I'm sorry, they're not a solution. So I would rather the thing fail. Don't pass it. If you pass something weak, you have passed nothing at all. So please, dear God, if you pass it to make yourself feel good, you didn't do it. It means nothing. We're not fighting. Fight for what we've asked for, not for what you want.
Thank you. I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Landrum, minister and delegate from the Universalist Unitarian Church of East Liberty in Clark Lake, Michigan. In my 40 years of being a Unitarian Universalist, I've never been sure that we know what we're doing in the language we put forward, so I'd like to call the question on this amendment.
Is there a second? All those in favor of calling the question? We have off-site? Mostly favor. Thank you. Those opposed? So your motion is approved. We're calling the question. We're ready to vote on this amendment. Yes? And you can see the off-site delegates vote to support that. Okay, so we're ready to vote on incorporating this amendment. So we're taking, we're on page 3 of your orange handout, unincorporated amendment D. We're replacing, if you vote in favor of this, you are replacing the lines on page 34 to 35 with the following, and you can read that. Oh, good. And if you're voting against it, you're voting to retain, like the last one, you're voting to retain the original main motion as amended in the mini assembly. Are we good with that? We have a delegate at the procedure mic.
Charlie Neese, First Unitarian Society, Plainfield, New Jersey. From my perspective, it didn't look like it was a clear majority. I would like to call for a count of the vote to call the question.
Is there a second for that? There we go. So all those in favor of calling the question, asking for a count, please raise your card. Help me make it clear. I'm confusing the delegates again. Yeah, we're only voting on calling the question. No.
On the count. It's on the count.
Whether to have a recount. Thank you. So those in favor of having a recount, raise your cards. Well, we're going to get the tellers lined up to do the count.
Whether to have a recount on whether to call the question.
Do you want to call the question or you want to have a count?
I want a count of the vote to call the question.
Right.
Correct. So we're calling for a count to call the question. Those who want a count, raise your voting cards. Yeah, I know. We've got 24. I'm sure we've got 100 with the. Do we not? Don't you agree?
Yeah, probably.
We got 24.
Oh, 24 off site. That makes it easy.
Okay, so we got it. Thank you. All right. So where are we? Help me.
We are going to take a count. We are going to vote on whether to call the question.
Now we're voting on whether to call the question.
And it's going to be counted.
So
we need the tellers lined up.
So now we need the tellers lined up. There's a hand in my back. We're still having trouble with the house lights, I know. Could I call on whomever has the light switch to try to turn it on? I know we're having some problems. I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Emily Stoper from the First Unitarian Church of Oakland. I'm a delegate. And I just want to make sure that that we agree that the vote to call the question needs to be a 2/3 vote to cut off debate.
That's true.
We don't agree? That's basic parliamentary procedure. Right? Well, I just want to make sure we agree
it's a fair question.
Vote.
We'll answer the question. I want to say yes, but I'm going to defer to my parliamentarian. 2/3, yes.
2/3 vote. We need a 2/3 vote to cut off debate. Right?
There you go.
They have lost control of the house lights.
Just a report, we've lost control of the house lights, so we're going to be in the dark for just a little while. I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Moderator Key, my name is Eric Allen Isaacson. I'm a delegate from the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Diego. You referred to the state action of immediate witness as amended in the mini-assembly. I was at the mini-assembly. There were amendments proposed. There were not votes on the amendments. There was a straw poll on proposals to delete several sections which were not adopted by the committee, CSW. The fact of the matter is that there were no votes to amend it in the mini-assembly. Any amendments that have been adopted have been done by the CSW, not by the mini-assembly. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the clarification. We're good. So we ready to vote? Whether to call the question. We'll take 2/3 to close debate.
It's going to fail.
All of those in favor of calling the question to cease debate, raise your card. On the amendment. Off-site? In favor, thank you.
Do we have people counting?
Are you going to count?
So keep your cards
Keep your cards up.
Get totals? Are you getting, Denise, are you getting type totals?
Sorry to have you hold your hand up so long. You can switch
So you
back.
want to sing, Jim?
And we're going to have somebody sing. You don't want me singing.
I thought maybe you have somebody sing while we're counting. You've got somebody here.
Yes, while we're doing the counting, I recognize the delegate of procedure mind.
Yeah, Neil Anderson, Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northern Nevada. I just want to ensure that the delegates understand that the vote that they're making now has to be exactly the same as the vote they made the last time if this is to be a count. If this is to be a count of the last vote, we have to vote the same. Is that correct?
I don't know how you mandate that. The people are voting, so. How would I know? Thank you for the question, but I don't know how to answer it. We're counting votes now. There's no way to know.
As former moderators have done in years past.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think we're still going to attend. Yeah, because you'd allocate a lot of time.
Yeah.
First two done.
2:45. Can the tellers tell each section as they've counted so they can relax their hand? I don't know which ones have been counted and which ones have not. We've got the off-site. Thank you. You can relax and lower those cards, and you were counted over there. While we add up the sections from the tellers, let's do the no votes. Procedure mic. This is for people who don't want to cut off debate. This is what we're voting on now. Yes.
Will the tellers please take their ushers please take their numbers to the back table?
Right, and we'll total up the sections.
Thank you.
Thank you. Those opposed, raise your hand and we'll count those. Are your tellers ready to count, though, before I ask them to do that? Denise? I don't think they are ready, so hold off for the no vote. I don't think she's ready. Let me see. After that vote, we'll have to count it. Okay, I'm ready to call for the noes now. All those who are voting against closing debate, please raise your cards. Let's do the count. I'll have the tellers do the same thing to get an exact count.
Sure. It depends on how many people are in the room.
Yeah.
What do you get? Yeses is total for. Does that include the offsite?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got that. Yeah, I've got it. Let's do that while we.
Scheduled for after these.
All right, let's do a little math.
Yeah. Hey, while we're counting, let's do a little breathing. How about? We don't need a slide for this. You'll just follow along. This is by Sarah Dan Jones. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe in love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Yeah. How about we build some bridges here? You want to start with this one on mine?
Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we can make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we can make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we can make such sweet harmony, building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we can make such sweet harmony. Friends, we can make such sweet harmony.
Thank you for your patience through all of this. The vote fails to cut off debate, so we're still open to discuss this. So I go to the delegate at the procedure mic. Let me make sure you've talked to the head teller, the head usher. Are we good to go? I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Melinda McGann. I'm from Jefferson Unitarian Church in Golden, Colorado. And I move to add at least 9 minutes on the motion clock so that it matches up with the amendment clock. And we can continue the discussion we just voted to continue.
Is there a second on that? All in favor? So we've added 9, excuse me. Thank you. Opposed? So we clearly have added 9 minutes on the clock, talking to the tech deck here. Thank you. So I've lost track of who spoke last, pro or con. Anybody help me? You all are keeping track.
She's con.
Before I go to the con mic, I've got a question at the procedure mic.
Would it be correct to say, is a procedural question to state that a mistake was made and that there was a term that is not commonly used called prison abolition, which was never defined, therefore making for a lot of confusion, and we should ask for a definition of this during this discussion?
No, it is what it is. The language is what it is. So
I think there are people who wish to define that.
Gwen Warman, Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church, Bethesda, Maryland. I offer a point of clarification or a point of information that in this movement, the terminology prison abolition is used to incorporate a large group of ideas that will lead to a just, transformative, rehabilitative system. It does not, as I've heard some potential concern, mean that we eliminate the prison system and have no justice system at all. So it's two different things. Mm-hmm. This prison abolition is the terminology that is being used by the movement that we are being asked as allies to support. And so now everybody hopefully understands what's being said.
That wasn't really a procedural question, but I value the information, and I think it is important to point out that this is the language that the people were hoping to support the movement embrace. I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
My name is Reverend Sunshine Jeremiah Wolf. I'm an interim minister at the First Unitarian Church of Alton, Illinois, which is closest to Ferguson, Missouri. I have a point of personal privilege, if it is okay. I am noticing in myself a lot of anxiety, and I've learned as an interim that means there's anxiety in the community. And I am aware that we as a denomination have had a long history of horrible debate and even conflict to the point of the General Assembly leaving in the 1968 convention. And I want us to be aware of that and how that's influencing us here, that we have people that have felt they've needed to leave the room because of what's been said, and that we just be aware and present and pastoral to each other and take our time with this. I think there's some fears that we're going to procedure this into the ground and we won't get anywhere. So let's be kind, let's be present, and let's, be patient with one another. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
I'm Cindy Gunter Baldo from Napa Valley Unitarian Universalists in Napa, California. I have a point of clarification.
Sure.
I would like for the moderator to define for the delegates what action of immediate witness means. I feel that when people are worried about some of the language, if they don't understand it, I feel that people are worried that means that the UU is going to throw itself completely behind it without exploring it. And I would like people to understand the scope of an act of immediate witness.
That's a fair question, and let me try to do that for you. Action of immediate witness is an expression of these delegates in this hall today. It doesn't call on the association or any congregations to do things specifically. It calls people to respond to the will of this, and the expression of will on the part of the delegates here to use as we see fit, going back to congregations and into our life. It doesn't cost us anything. There's nothing exposed. I think this, ultimately, these kinds of AIWs ultimately find their way into the CSAI process, which results in a statement of conscience that we voted on the other day, which those studies over a long period of time. This does not require a long period of study. It's intended to express what's going on in the world today and how we want to respond to that.
Bylaw 4.16C1.
I'm going to read to you. A General Assembly action of immediate witness is one concerned with a significant action, event, or development, the timing or specificity of which makes it inappropriate to be addressed by a UUA statement of conscience pursuant to the study action process. Is that helpful? So it's just the sense of this body on this day, hearing the arguments and debates that we have heard. I'll now go to the con mic. I recognize the delegate at the con microphone.
My name is Jan Taddeo. I serve our congregation in Lawrenceville, Georgia. I am a delegate, and I am also the president of the Allies for Racial Equity. We support this entire action of immediate witness as written by the youth who very carefully crafted it to be good allies to the Black Lives Matter movement, which is a movement that is going to move on with us or without us. We bring skills to this movement. We have some gifts to offer around how to build right relationship in community. We do it here. We do it in our congregations. We can do that in the world. We also bring a way of trying to be leaders when we ought be good followers. This is an opportunity for this body to say we understand that this is an opportunity to support a national movement for racial justice, and we get to learn from leaders out there leading us how to do this well, and we get to be good followers.
Thank you. And let me just say, as a point of personal privilege for me, I was in a part of the youth caucus that developed this, the leadership group. And I have to say I was very much impressed with whom they consulted with. And I just echo what the con speaker said. It was a very thoughtful process trying to be in the movement. I've invited our chaplains to the podium. Things have been said, tensions are high. It was an emotionally fraught mini assembly, and I want to have this body take a breath and get some pastoral reflection.
Andrew and I, Jan Carlson-Bull, are representing our GA chaplains. We realize that we are doing work that is difficult. We cannot do this work without conflict. There are tensions, there are disagreements, there are high tensions right now. So I ask us to take the hands of the person next to us and to join our hearts in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and love, we are gathered here to do work that is hard work. It is not easy to love. There are few meadows and many minefields. We are moving through those minefields. May we listen. May we open the ears of our hearts and the hearts of our ears and listen deeply, and as we speak, may we do so in grace, with respect for one another, and with respect for each and every voice, no matter how much we disagree with what comes from that voice. May we do the work of love, the hard work of love, in community, grounded in a covenant of love that holds peril and promise. So may it be, and amen.
As your chaplain of color, as a Latina, the only chaplain of color in this General Assembly, everyone, don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid of expressing solidarity to this new movement that will take us where we need to be as a denomination. Don't be afraid to vote yes on the side of justice, which this moment is Black Lives Matter. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be.
Yeah, just thank you. Thank you very much for that. I recognize the delegate at the procedure.
That was bad. He should not have been allowed to make that statement.
I'm sorry. I'll recognize the delegate at the procedure mic and not from shouts from the floor. Yes.
Thank you, Jim. Actually, it's Susan Leslie, and I'm on the UUA staff. I'm the Congregational Advocacy and Witness Director. And I just want people to know that we, this body, passed a statement of conscience in 2005 calling for major criminal justice reform, calling for restorative justice, calling for an end to the war on drugs, and we base all our work to end mass incarceration and racial profiling that the UUA does on that statement. We did this 10 years ago.
Thank you for that, although I'll have to comment that this is not, we're using the procedural mic for statements of support and cons, so I'll go to the procedure mic.
Jim, Harlan Limpert, our Chief Operating Officer, asked me, as in my staff role, to advise people to a statement that has already been passed.
Thank you. That's fair. I go to the con microphone and recognize the delegate. No, I've been keeping you waiting. I recognize the delegate at the pro microphone.
My name is John Balance. I'm a member of and a delegate from the UU Church of the North Hills in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. First of all, let me say I'm very much in support of this CSW. I think it's very important. However, I am speaking now in support of the motion to adopt unincorporated Amendment D. In the current language on lines 34, it says, working toward police reform and prison abolition. With due respect, I disagree with the delegate from the procedural mic who defined how they view abolition. Unfortunately, we have to fight this battle in the open public where they will not understand that sense of abolition. Abolition, to me, means to do away with, and for us as a denomination to appear as if we're talking about abolishing the prison system would make us look hopelessly naive. Furthermore, the unincorporated D finesses that issue by broadening the language of what is in fact needed. I work as a volunteer chaplain in Allegheny County Jail in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and in that I see that this very clearly is the language in the unincorporated amendment is desperately needed because 80 to 90% of the men there are there for drug and alcohol reasons. It's a stupid way to try to solve that problem. The unincorporated amendment D gives us the mechanisms to address that in a broader way. It is a Black Lives Matter issue because in a county where 13% of the inhabitants are African Americans, what I see in the jail are between 50 and 75% of the men are African American. It is a Black Lives Matter. The Amendment D, in my opinion, is critical for us to address this issue in the broad way that it really needs to be.
Thank you. And I would once again ask the body, we're a covenantal community, and I would encourage us not to shout down people that are making statements at the pro or con mic. We all have different opinions. And we have disagreements from time to time, but this is a place to, with the singing and with the chaplains, we need to take a breath and keep talking. I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Hi, this is Cynthia Landrum again from the Universalist Unitarian Church of East Liberty in Clark Lake, Michigan. First, I want to apologize for calling the question. Secondly, I would like to say that there's a great deal of anxiety in this room that voices get heard and that we take a strong stand today. And we're spending a lot of our time on amendments and on debating those. And I'm wondering if there's a way you, as moderator, can take us to another place with this discussion. If there's another way, a committee of the whole or something like that, that we could do to come out of this as a united body.
We can always add time to the clock. If the body wishes to. I'll go to the con microphone.
Hi, yes. Walter Ellis, Cedar Lane Unitarian in Bethesda, Maryland. I believe we have that other way. I have been working with people who are proposing an unincorporated Amendment E, and we're going to change it so that we're explaining in the text of what we're doing what prison abolition means. And I believe, I have talked with people on both sides of this issue, that this will be a way to get through this impasse and a way for us to move forward, clearly explaining both the interest of the Black Lives Movement and the interest of people here who are uncomfortable with the term absent a greater explanation. So, if I have time, what we are proposing to do is, after the words prison abolition, have comma, which seeks to replace the current prison system with a system that is more just and equitable. And if we vote down on this amendment, the current amendment, which is C, I believe, then we can bring up Amendment E, and Amendment E, I believe, can work us through this impasse.
Thank you. Let me check some timing here. I want to make sure we're in a good place, and I think that we are. We're a little behind, but I think we're still going to get some coverage here. I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Rory Moore from the Unitarian Society in Santa Barbara, California. I believe the delegate who just spoke from the con microphone is out of order in that he is proposing an amendment to the amendment that's on the table.
That would be out of order, you're right.
And therefore, I would ask that it be disregarded.
Thank you. I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Thank you, Chairman. This is Doug Baldwin. I'm a delegate from the Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock. In light of the statements that have most recently been made in regards to the various amendments that have not been incorporated, I would move that, for the moment, we table the amendment being proposed now so that we can consider perhaps any other motions, such as the one that was mentioned, in terms of changing, and someone else needs to make that motion from abolish to reform. After we handle that proposal, then perhaps we could decide whether we want to continue our consideration of this amendment. So, in summary, I'd like to move that we table the motion on this amendment and consider any other amendments that may be moved.
Is there a second? It's out of order. I'm getting a lot of advice and counsel on this. Where's my attorney? You are, actually.
No, I'm not. No, I'm.
Your mic is off. Hold on a minute.
Why is it out of order? You can move the table. Why can't, you should do it from
The pro?
yeah. The motion, there's no motion mic. But why is it inappropriate to table it?
All the moderator says it's inappropriate.
Pardon?
All the moderator says it's inappropriate. I don't know.
All right, let's just keep talking. I'll
Okay.
go down there.
I recognize the delegate at the procedures mic. We're still working on this tabling motion about whether it's in order or out of order.
Okay, may I ask it as a question? May we table this motion?
That's what we're determining. I believe it's out of order. The attorney and I are discussing it. I'm waiting for the attorney to come back. Just a moment. I'm sorry for everybody that this is so sticky, but this is important work that we're doing. We're deciding whether to support a movement with fairly specific language or not. Okay. I recognize the delegate at the pro mic. I think he has a motion.
Right. Okay. Doug Baldwin, Unitarian Unionist for Congregation at Shelter Rock. Generally, I'm in support of the entire resolution. As far as this amendment, I move that we table the motion so that we have time to take up any other amendment that may want to be considered.
Is there a second on that? Second. There's a second. All of those in favor of tabling it to come back up again, raise your card. And the off-site are voting. You're voting to table this amendment to come up later?
Table amendment, discussion of amendment.
In this session, to the degree we have some time, we're voting to table. All those in favor? Thank you. 28 offline. Those opposed? We have just voted to table, and we will return to it. I'm now going to go to the amendment mic off. I think we had one in the queue on off-site, but I don't have it in front of me now. Tech Deck, do we have an amendment? We do not have anybody in the amendment queue. Thank you. So now we can go to the amendment mic in the hall, and I recognize the delegate at the amendment mic.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm Julie John Knott, member of Acatine Universalist Church, Burke, Virginia, and I wish to move the unincorporated Amendment E as a friendly amendment, and Wade will continue on with what the changes are.
Yep.
Identify yourself.
Walter Ellis. The friendly amendment to amendment, the unincorporated Amendment E, would be, instead of changing abolition to reform, adding after the word abolition, comma, which seeks to replace the current prison system with a system that is more just and equitable. Period. Or actually not period, I guess it's a semicolon.
I have to reject that as out of order because it is not an unincorporated amendment that can be amended in the hall. So thank you. I'm sorry, can we go to the next amendment, Mike? So, I'm sorry, we've got to, you're not on the mic. Are you proposing an amendment? Could you tell us what that is? I recognize the delegate at the amendment mic.
In that case, okay. Edit line 34.
Which amendment are we talking about?
Amendment E.
E.
And changing, yes, yes. Changing, leaving prison abolition, comma, which seeks to replace the.
No, you're now
okay,
trying.
Can't. So
you-
then
you-
it's just
what-
changing
what-
abolition to reform.
That's
That's all I'm.
You're moving to a motion to unincorporated amendment E to edit line 34, changing abolition to reform. Yes?
All
Is that
right.
what you're proposing?
Yes.
Is there a
And
second?
then you do the.
Yes.
There's a second. Are we ready to debate this amendment? Is there anybody at the pro microphone?
Yes, Linda Ulrich, Summit UU Fellowship, Santee, California. There are multitudes of severe criminals in prisons, multitudes of very evildoers. Really?
Well, I'll extend the time so you can finish your motion. I mean, your statement.
Thank you. Can my time be stopped while this time is increased?
Why don't we do this? Would somebody propose extending time and we can vote on that? I recognize the delegate at the procedures mic.
Hello, Eric Valpy, University Unitarian Church in Seattle, delegate. I move to add 10 minutes to the clock.
Is there a second? All in favor of adding 10 minutes to the clock? Thank you very much. Those opposed? We're adding 10 minutes to the clock. Thank you. Now we'll go to the pro microphones and you can start your statement and have the full 2 minutes.
All right, thank you. Linda Ulrich, Summit UU Fellowship, Santee, California. That's in the San Diego County. There are multitudes and numerous, hundreds, thousands of really severe evildoers in prison. Abolish does mean eliminate. That's what the abolition movement was. It was to eliminate slavery. That is what the word means. If that is official language being used in the Black Lives Matter movement, but the intent is different, that's fine. But as our body is independent and in support of, I think we need to be very careful about our language. And prison abolish or prison abolishment means just that, means eliminate prisons. And Charles Manson does not deserve to have prisons eliminated. And the person who just did the shooting in the church in Charleston, if convicted, does not deserve to have prisons eliminated. We need to be very careful about our language. This document has legal advice. It's written up not only as a statement of faith, but it's written with what should be appropriate legal language. So I strongly support changing the word prison abolish or abolishment to prison reform. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go to the off-site delegates in the procedure queue. So Tech Deck, can we get the off-site delegate in the procedure queue brought into the hall?
Hi, is that me?
Hello? We can barely, yes, you can,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Sally Geller at Central Unitarian Church in Paramus, New Jersey. Two procedural questions. One is I thought we had done a perfecting amendment at another section, and would that be what we're kind of trying to do here? And I'm not sure how we did that, whether it was committee of the whole or what. And the other was I jumped online at the amendment mic to do Amendment A. The minute this action of immediate witness was called, but I was not seeing because I'm not physically there, and I guess I can't go back to it. I just want to express
We haven't taken up.
I would love it. Check.
Sally, we haven't taken up Amendment A. We'll come back to that. Well, we won't. No, we won't.
Oh, we won't.
We will not because of. So let me answer your.
You didn't see me standing there because I was on the phone.
But on the unincorporated Amendment E, we're changing. The proposal is to change abolition to reform, to edit that line, and that's all we're discussing here. We're going to vote that up or down. Okay?
Yep.
Thank you. I recognize the delegate at the procedures microphone.
Hi, yes, Walter Ellis, Cedar Lane, Unitarian, Bethesda, Maryland. I'm trying to find out whether there's any procedure, even if it's without objection, that we can make a friendly amendment to an amendment. If the entire body agrees that in order to work through an impasse, I cannot see how there is no possible way to make an exception to allow us to get to a reasonable conclusion here.
I have an answer, but I want to consult with him first.
Yeah, you'd have to suspend the rules. You have to modify the rules to allow an amendment that was not made in the mini assembly.
And that's the answer, is we'd have to have a motion to suspend the rules so we can do what the rules don't allow. You can do it there.
Again, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules in order to add a friendly amendment.
Is there a second to that? So can we get some language on what the language is so we know what we might want to vote on?
Yes, we may.
We have to vote on the suspension first, but people have to be informed.
We have to vote on a suspension, but we need to know what we're going to talk about when we suspend it.
I move to suspend procedure in order to add a friendly amendment to the motion, the amendment on the table right now, in order to keep the words prison abolition and follow it with comma, which seeks to replace the current prison system with a system that is more just and equitable.
So do we have a second on that? We do. Are we ready to vote on? We're voting to suspend the rules, and then we will. If we do that, then we can accept this. We can vote on this friendly amendment.
We can debate the amendment.
So we can debate the amendment later. This is just suspending the rules. So we have a second. All in favor of suspending the rules to do this?
It's 2/3.
Hands down. We have a few off-site. Those opposed to suspending the rules? I think it's clear. Don't you think? No, it's 2/3.
2/3.
I think we're good, don't you? I have ruled that we do have a 2/3, and we have suspended the rules to allow the friendly amendment. And thank you for helping us through the impasse with your... So do you want to now go make an amendment? We have another question at the procedure mic.
Jasmine Walston, First Unitarian Church, Louisville, Kentucky. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. With all compassion for the delegates in this difficult situation that is very important work, we have a lot of chatter in the hall. I'm about halfway back and I can't follow the speakers. So I'd ask you to call the room to order with all compassion.
Thank you. I've tried to do that, but I'll repeat that from time to time. It is hard for all of us, particularly off-site, to follow it with so much chatter. I go to the pro microphone. Recognize the delegate at the pro microphone. I'm sorry, we got to go to the amendment. There's where you went to. I recognize the delegate at the amendment mic.
Walter Ellis, Cedar Lane, Unitarian, Bethesda, Maryland. I move to amend the current amendment so that instead of changing abolition to reform, after the words prison abolition, we include, comma, which seeks to replace the current prison system with a system that is more just and equitable.
Is there a second? Second. All right. Are we ready to vote on that? Or are we ready to debate that? Anybody want to? I have a procedure question.
Yes, my name is Ken Cheswick from the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Laramie, Wyoming. And I wonder if the motion that was just been proposed is out of order because it is not a friendly amendment. It changes the meaning. The main purpose of Amendment E is to eliminate the word abolition and replace it with reform. And now they're putting abolition back in, completely reversing the meaning of Amendment E.
That's what we just passed, was suspending our rules for the purpose of offering a friendly amendment that we believe has been agreed to by both sides. We'll see from the debate on that.
My point is it's not a friendly amendment. It completely changes the meaning.
It doesn't really matter. We've suspended the rules. Thank you.
All right, now you go debate on the pro mic.
So, are we ready to debate this? I'll go to a delegate at the pro mic.
Hello, sir. Thank you. Julie John Knott, Academic Unitarian Universalist, Church. The clarification of leaving abolition in on this particular friendly amendment, which I wholly support, is that it expands upon and explains the reformation required in this wording of abolition. And I feel it is clarifying, inclusive, and it really embodies exactly what we want to do and why we want to do it. And that's why we're here.
Thank you. I've got a delegate off-site at the procedure queue, so I will call on Sally Gellert for her question, procedural question.
Oh, I'm too early for mine.
Too early?
I'm hovering.
Okay, well,
I would like to know if while we're suspended, we can go back and ask about Amendment A, but let's finish this first.
right, we don't take up A if we even get the time to get there. So I'm going to go to the con microphone and recognize the delegate at the con microphone.
Hi, my name is Heather Ryan Starr. I'm one of the co-ministers at the Unitarian Society of Hartford, Connecticut. I'd like to speak against this amendment, and what I'd really like to speak against is the notion of making amendments on the floor of general session. As a past member of the Commission on Social Witness for 5 years, I am intimately aware of what has gone into the document that we were handed as we walked into the general session. So many folks have worked on this action of immediate witness up to this point. Hours have been put into it. And I have come to general assemblies in years ago where people would debate word choice, a comma, a semicolon, a period. And that, in my opinion, greatly derails our whole experience together if we get to the level of that kind of debate on general session floor. We're alienating a lot of people from the process. There were many opportunities to participate in this process prior to Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock when a lot of people aren't even here. And I would like to see people participate in the process much earlier and not start debating word choice on Sunday afternoon.
Thank you very much. I'm going to do, before I go to either one of the mics, I want to do a little straw poll. Are the proponents, this is a straw poll, we're not really voting on anything. Are we ready to move to vote, or do we need more debate on this? And understanding that the General Assembly is over at 4:30, whatever we have or haven't done. And I'd like to, a lot of effort's been on this, and I'd like to get this AIW resolved in a friendly, religious way. Those that were in favor of sort of moving on and voting on it, or do we need more debate on this?
This is for you.
We're not voting. I'm asking for a straw poll about whether you want to continue the debate or whether you want to vote on this. Vote. I'm asking for show of hands. I'm sorry. Let me once again ask the delegates. The chattering and the shouting out is not useful for any of us, and I can't listen to 300 voices. I know this has been difficult. I'm the creator of some of the difficulty. I own that. I was trying to get a sense of the hall of whether we had made up our minds on this and wanted to ultimately get to the unincorporated amendment E. So raise your hand if you're sort of ready to move on, and we can figure a way to do this. So the question is, thank you. Those who are opposed, who want to keep debating this. Right. Clearly the sense of the room is let's vote on it.
Someone call the question.
So I need, frankly, someone to call the question. Anybody? From the procedure mic. Is anybody ready to call the question? Are you going to call the question?
I'm going to call the question. I'm ready to make my procedural
I haven't recognized
question.
I haven't got the mic on yet. So I'm recognizing the procedure mic for the purpose of calling the question.
I call the question.
Thank you. So you need to have the second? Yes, I do. So are we ready to vote? Probably, so most of you.
On calling the question.
On calling the question. I always forget that phrase. All those in favor of calling the question and then proceeding to vote, raise your card. Amendment E. Thank you. Those opposed. So clearly, we're calling the question, and now we can vote on the amendment E about whether to incorporate it. And I now recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
I'm pretty sure I'm out of order at this time, but I would like, as a procedural question, does Brenda Murphy, All Souls Church, New York, does the amended that we're voting on still include the word abolition? That's
Yes.
the question.
Yes.
Thank you.
Fair question. Thank you. Who was the proponent of this? We probably should read it once again to make sure we're all clear, but I'll go to the procedure mic first to recognize the delegate there.
Beth Ogilvie, Star King UU Church, Hayward, California. Can we remove the word more from the proposed amendment?
No, that's out of, we cannot. Thank you. We cannot. So let's go to the amendment mic. We now have a delegate at the procedure mic.
Clarification. I'm Joseph Earhart Hudson, Unitarian Universalist Church of the Palouse. Are we moving towards voting on the amendment to the amendment?
Yeah, no. There's no amendment to the amendment.
We have not voted on
We are voting on an unincorporated amendment was not brought forward in the completed document from the mini assembly.
Okay, so
but people who were in the mini assembly brought this. We're showing you what was not incorporated, so the full hall could vote on it.
So what I see in the green text up there is what we are voting on, and that if we vote in favor of it, that's what the language will be in the AIW.
Yes, I can't fully see it, but so someone confirm that to me. We're editing line 34 and changing abolition to reform.
So we're down to brass tacks here.
So
I need to know what I'm voting on, sir.
I agree with you. We're voting on the green. Rephrase it for me. Now
I'm sorry. If you could put that back up on the screen that was just there a moment ago. Thank you. If you vote yes, you are voting to include the language that's in green in the AIW. I don't have my glasses. Okay.
Could we have the proponent read it for us? Right. You got it?
Go ahead. Why don't you give me the words? Abolition, which seeks to replace the current prison system with a system that is more just and equitable. Everybody got that?
Thank you.
If you vote yes, you want that green language included in the AIW. If you vote no, then you don't want that language included in the AIW, and we go back to the language that is now in the AIW before proposed unincorporated Amendment E as revised. Everybody got that? I want you to understand, because if you vote no on this, you're going back to the language that you're in the original, which I believe said abolition, without an explanation. If you vote yes, you're voting for this language. Everybody clear? Thank you.
So, I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Hi, I'm Scott Harrigan, Unitarian Universalist Church of Amherst, New York. I noticed that on the sheet, page 3, we have a tangible presence in America as deleted, crossed out, but on the document you just showed, it's not crossed out, so it makes it look like it's going to be in. I want a point of clarification whether that language is in or out.
Out.
Thank you.
Are we ready to vote? Do you know what you're voting for? All those in favor vote aye. Raise your card. And the off-site are voting. Thank you. Thank you. Cards down. Those voting no, it clearly passes. Thank you. Recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Rick Rhodes from the Unitarian Universalist Community Church of Santa Monica, California. I just wanted to point out that although a no vote would, as was just explained, leave the original language in, when we go back to the table D, we would have another opportunity to amend that. Thank you.
Thank you. So, we are ready now to go to the amendment, Mike, I believe. Is this our last one?
I don't know, there's nobody behind me. My name is Ted Danielson from Northwest Unitarian Universalist Church of Southfield, Michigan. I would like to move that we incorporate an unincorporated Amendment A. This is something that happened very recently. I remember the first speaker tonight talked about immediate witness. I can think of nothing better as a way to emphasize this is an action of immediate witness, is to include a reference to what so tragically happened in Charleston.
Thank you. Does anybody want to speak in favor of the amendment?
Jim, you don't normally go back to A.
Hold on a minute.
This is out of order. We went in order. He should have been at the...
Thank you.
We go in order.
That amendment is out of order because we took them in sequence and you weren't at the mic, I'm told. So I'm sorry, we're out of order. Thank you. And we're probably going to be out of time pretty soon. Yes, I have a delegate at the procedure microphone.
He's going to move to take D off the table.
Okay.
Eric Valpy, University Unitarian Church in Seattle. I move to suspend the rules to entertain the Amendment A.
Second.
There's a second.
Thank you.
How do the delegates feel about that? You're voting on suspending the rules to consider this, and then we'll discuss it later if you want to suspend the rules. So we have an amendment, and we have a proposal, a motion, and a second. So all those in favor of suspending the rules to bring this back in? Thank you. Those opposed? Thank you. Those opposed, keep them up, keep them up. No, you don't. You don't. Let me ask it again because I'm not sure I'm close enough here.
Two-thirds in favor.
Have to have two-thirds in favor. So those in favor of suspending the rules to consider A, I guess, raise the cards. Those opposed, lower those cards. Those opposed. So you're not suspending the rules. I'm sorry. Thank you. So, are we ready to vote on the amendments, the AIW as amended? I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
I move to pull Amendment D from the table and to vote immediately on it.
Second, thank you. Attorney, come here and help me.
Yep. It's not debatable.
Right, it's not debatable.
Majority vote.
So what are we asking them to do? State it.
Sure. Amendment D we tabled a few minutes ago, right? And a motion has just been made at the procedural mic to remove it from the table and bring it back to the Assembly's attention. So if you vote yes, that means you want to have discussion and debate on unincorporated Amendment D. If you vote no, it means you don't want to have discussion and debate on unincorporated Amendment D. Is that clear? Okay.
So we're ready to vote on that. All those in favor, raise your card. Thank you. Those voting no?
Okay. Fails.
Clearly fails. Thank you. So we're now ready to vote, I believe. Yes?
Main motion.
Huh?
Voting on the main.
We're voting on the main motion that has been brought to the floor as amended. And we have a question from the procedure mic.
I've been hearing Pat Hurtklotz, delegate from Klamath Falls, Oregon. I've been hearing the people that are off-site have been feeling not always honored, and I heard the lady say she wanted to make Amendment A. Was she
Out of order.
She was out of order even then? Okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to give her respect.
I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Hi, Elaine Arnold from the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Stanislaus County in Modesto, California. And I really would appreciate it if, after everything we've gone through, that we get a clear written or spoken idea of what it is that we actually have amended and incorporated, and so we really know exactly what we're doing, what we're voting on, the words and everything. Please.
Well, we've gone through that. You'll get something at the end of the day, as it were, that confirms what we voted on, not at the end of this day, but will be online, of what we voted on in the language we changed. But we've gone through that debate and inserted and added and agreed to debate or agreed not to debate. So we're good.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to put up on the screen what you're going to be voting on.
Okay, good.
Okay? What you are voting on is the AIW as originally presented today, with the one amendment you passed, namely the one we did just about 3 or 4 minutes ago on Amendment E as revised. Oh, we passed C as well? Yes. Okay, my apologies. So I'm sorry. Okay, so as you originally presented, lines 36 to 38 have been deleted, and Amendment E, as you just voted in green, has been added. Okay? That's what you're voting on. If you want to support this AIW as presented with lines 36 to 38 deleted and Amendment E as revised added, you should vote yes. If you don't want to support this AIW with those revisions, then you should vote no.
I recognize the delegate at the procedure mic.
Thank you. Jan Taddeo, serving our congregation in Lawrenceville, Georgia. A question of procedure is that I believe there are some people who would like to continue to discuss the entire AIW as amended.
That would be out of order. Thank you.
It is.
We have.
Was the question called? There's a minute and 41 left.
Was the question called? I thought it was. I thought we agreed to move on.
No, we didn't call the question.
We haven't called the question. So we have the time.
We got a minute and 41 seconds.
You got a minute and 41 seconds. I recognize the delegate at the procedure microphone.
Eric Valby, University Unitarian Church in Seattle. I move to call the question.
Is there a second?
That's a solution.
Let's vote on whether we want to call the question. All those in favor of calling the question? Thank you. Off-site favor? Thank you. Those opposed to calling the question? Clearly, we're calling the question.
Solved it.
Now we're moving to voting on what was brought to the general session here as amended in this hall. Are we ready? All those in favor, raise your cards. Those opposed? It's certainly clear it's 2/3 in the hall. Let's see what the off-site delegates voted. Clearly, this motion passes.
I think you should take a few minutes to thank everybody for all that as well.
Thank you. Let me first of all thank you for the process. We've said earlier in the week the democratic process is messy. There were some anxieties in the room, and I believe that there will be people of color and their allies in need of support this afternoon. So Chaplain Rebecca Montgomery will be available at the food court area in the back of the room. She's a person of color. So people needing support may go there after the vote, which we have taken. So I would offer that for you. And anybody else who feels the need for chaplaincy support, I would encourage you to seek those folks out. Who do we have in the queue here? Can we sing something just to breathe a little bit?
Yeah, we can do something quite nice here. I'm going to invite Cecilia Hayes, you heard her this morning, to come up to the mic and sing a song by Thea Ora Rose Touré of Selma, Alabama. This is in our hymnal number 1007. There's a river flowing in my soul. Please rise in body and spirit. I got no keyboard. We're almost there.
Almost there.
Here we go.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind, bringing peace now. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my mind. Blessed be.
Thank you, Cecilia
Blessed be.
Hayes from West Seattle.
Thank you so much. I had the good pleasure of meeting the author of that music when I was doing some work with the SCLC in Atlanta getting ready for the Selma trip. And of course, we connected again at the Living Legacy Project event in Selma. So that's a sweet hymn. So please welcome Kirsty Lewis, President of the UU Women's Federation, who has been waiting patiently to give their report. Thank you.
Yeah, now for something entirely different. No voting, no parliamentarian. Just want to tell you a little bit about the work of the UUWF. Let me remind you about our organization's mission. We're about advancing justice for women and girls and supporting their spiritual growth. 2 years ago, we celebrated 50 years as the UUA's national organization representing UU women since the merger of 1963. Originally, we were a national alliance of congregational women's groups, that often kept church doors open and sanctuaries warm. The UUA still owes much to the skills that women have of organizing themselves, from making major financial contributions to getting the Roe v. Wade abortion rights case heard before the U.S. Supreme Court, to funding billboards about sex trafficking. The UUWF has put UU women on the map and our faith movement at the same time. Creating the Clara Barton internship for women's issues, raising funds for feminist theology projects, urging the UUA to recognize the necessity of using gender-neutral language, underwriting efforts by women in congregations to do bold justice and equity work, giving Ministry to Women awards to worthy women, providing scholarships to women of color entering the ministry, including those entering religious education and music ministry. These are our work, and we remain proud of what we have done over the years. Recently, we had a major organizational shift, and our hardworking, skillful executive administrator, whom many of you know, Ellen Spencer, retired. She managed the daily details of the UUF's programs and initiatives for over 37 years, encompassing many different administrations and boards. And in many ways, she carried the institutional memory of the UUWF. We are grateful for her commitment, her long commitment, and we feel her loss. But we now have, and are continuing, with 5 mighty board members who have their portfolios and responsibility for the healthy future of this independent UU associate organization, one of only 2 such organizations. In addition to our volunteer board, our newest position is that of UUWF affiliated minister, and it's filled currently by Reverend Marty Keller of Atlanta, Georgia. During 1914, we made decisions to streamline our work and carry us into the 21st century with an expanded online presence, including weekly blogs from Reverend Keller, addressing topics of particular value to women. The blogs are full of up-to-the-minute information and passion regarding improving justice and equity for women and girls. Here are some of the topics in the blogs. She's Going Places. A conversation with Sister Song's Monica Simpson. Minimum wage is a women's issue. Dark Monday with darker days ahead. The good and the bad news about female employment. Why male allies? Justice for all just ain't quite specific enough. No choices, and most recently, one of her last blogs was rape culture. Reverend Keller and the UUWF together are initiating a new project funded in part by a challenge grant from the Fund for UU Social Responsibility, as well as by the UUWF, called the New Prophetic Sisterhood. It aims to involve at least 100 fellowshipped and ordained UU women ministers in creating more awareness of and public witness around reproductive justice, which is now our 2015 Statement of Conscience. The project is named after the 19th century early wave of UU women clergy who funded and founded liberal religious congregations on the American prairie. The accomplishments of this Iowa sisterhood were brought to public attention through the landmark book, Prophetic Sisterhood by our own Cynthia Grant Tucker. These female ministers spoke out on women's voting rights, educational opportunities, abolition, and other social reforms. Their bold spiritedness, their struggles, defeats, and legacy provide a model for contemporary aspirations and tactics needed to overcome barriers facing us as women today still. Female identified ministers make up over half of our UU clergy, and we hope to leverage this collective power inside and outside of congregational walls. The UUWF has initiated a survey of UU women that will give an updated information about issues that are most important to women today. A similar survey in 2004 led towards our funding justice and equity projects and away from sponsoring direct service projects to congregations because women wanted advocacy and hands-on projects. Many such projects have been funded since then and carried out. And now we want to know if women feel the same way in 2015 and what are their concerns, and are our congregations focusing on speaking out for women's issues and providing information and inspiration towards that end. Other advocacy work has included visits to various pulpits and meetings in order to represent our interest. Interaction and communication with groups such as the Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice and Sister Song are growing. We have signed on together with other groups to several amicus briefs, letters, and legislative petitions. For example, the UUWF joined in a letter urging President Obama to support women's reproductive health in fiscal year 2016 by omitting all language from his budget requests that would restrict access to abortion. Specifically, this means the Hyde Amendment. We also joined the UUA in decrying the Supreme Court decision permitting some employers to exclude coverage of contraception in their health plans. Yes, the Center for Reproductive Rights asked, and we agreed to add our voices to those of 55 other groups that wrote President Obama and collectively objected to proposals that would allow groups working with women abroad to opt out of even providing referrals for women needing life-saving abortions or for those who have been raped. The UUF joined in support also of the Fair Employment Protection Act. We have become more active. We also implement our mission, in addition to these legislative ministry actions, we implement our mission through the work of our Clara Barton intern, our funding programs, our advocacy activities, and our newer website and Facebook and blog. Jessica Halpern, serving as the Clara Barton intern when the General Assembly adopted the 2012 to 16 Reproductive Justice Study Action issue, she helped call the UUs to action on this issue by assembling the congregational resource packet and writing the curriculum. The intern position now is currently open. Applicants are being sought. Please see our website or talk to me. We are reconceptualizing our funding program so that most projects now will be commissioned works. We are developing a new advisory council on commissioned works to help determine themes and topics which are most current and most urgent, will bring about the greatest positive change for women and girls. The council will then seek out individuals and groups to carry out this vital work, providing funds for this purpose. We are determined to keep issues that impact women and girls in the ongoing conversations on social media and in the public marketplace. Please respond to our survey and to the blogs. And I would like to let you know how much we have enjoyed our conversations with you at our booth at this GA. We've had 2 workshops, we've met many people at our workshops, and we enjoyed very much the conversations and dialogues that we have had. None of what we have done as the UUWF would have been possible without, of course, the financial support of our members and the generous amounts of time and energy of our volunteers. There's always time for you to join the UUWF by visiting our website, uuwf.org. Click the Donate Join button on the home page, and a gift of any amount makes you a member for a year. We believe that every woman counts, every woman's voice counts as we speak out for justice. Please join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsty. Please welcome Barbara Myers, Suzanne Fast, and Michael Salwasser to tell us about a new program.
Hi, everybody. Are you having a great GA? Hi, I'm Barbara Myers, and this is Michael Salwasser and Suzanne Fast, and we're here to share with you another way that Unitarian Universalism can be building a new way.
This week, we're launching a new program jointly sponsored by the UUA and Equal Access, a UU organization working to enable the full engagement of people with disabilities in UU communities and the broader society. The full name of the program is Accessibility and Inclusion Ministry, AIM for short.
The AIM program is for congregations seeking to embrace disability as another dimension of human difference. AIM congregations welcome, embrace, integrate, and support people with disabilities and their families.
We gratefully acknowledge the influence of two UUA programs after which this program is patterned, the Welcoming Congregation Program and the Green Sanctuary Program, both of which have helped and supported the development of AIM. Similar to both of its forebears, the true work of AIM is when a congregation engages deeply with what it means to live with a disability in our congregations and in our world.
The AIM program's sacred challenge to congregations is to recognize the humanity and gifts of all people. It honors the importance of religious life in living with disabilities and challenges each and all of us to build faith communities that can be a central source of support and action for all. AIM honors both the inherent worth and dignity of every person and the web that connects us all.
In the early stages of AIM, a congregation conducts an assessment of accessibility and inclusion of people with disabilities in the congregation today. AIM always starts from where you are. Based on your self-assessment, you set priorities for where to focus your efforts. Then the congregation submits an action plan describing worship, workshops, and projects that will help them address their priorities.
Next, the congregation will have that plan reviewed by the AIM Coordinating Committee. Upon approval, they will then implement the plan. When the plan has been implemented, the congregation applies to be recognized as an AIM certified congregation. The final step, celebrate your achievement.
The rallying cry of the disability rights movement going back to its early days is nothing about us without us. The team a congregation puts together to lead the AIM process is an opportunity to model inclusive leadership.
The intent of the program is to meet each congregation where it is and move it forward at a reasonable pace. Every 3 years, the congregation will conduct a reassessment and report on its progress. Between assessments, continuing to work on other identified priorities may help maintain formal recognition. The process does not grade congregations, it moves the congregation forward based on its unique resources, needs, and abilities.
Making a congregation accessible and inclusive is a continuous process. It is often difficult work involving personal and culture change. And after having put the hearts and spirits of the congregation into completing all the work it can, there will be new challenges ahead.
For the past 4 years, a team of us from Equal Access and the UUA has been working on this program. The three of us, Mark Bernstein, Barbara Saccone, and a colleague of ours who died last year, Rachel Klein, and our administrators, Lisa Ferris and now Michelle Avery Ferguson. The program asks congregations to address several areas.
Worship services that focus on disability, often having a member of the congregation speak about personally living with a disability, and the importance of a faith community's inclusion.
Accessibility, adding handrails, new signage, printing accessible orders of service, training ushers, installing sound systems, and redesigning websites.
Inclusion, changing attitudes and practices such that people with disabilities are welcomed into full participation in church activities. Actions may involve workshops, revising bylaws, or training RE teachers.
One of the requirements of the program is to have at least one project focusing on disability justice.
There have been 8 field test sites using the program the past 2 years. We have learned a lot, and so have the congregation. Here's a quote from the field test team member, Kate Warner from Ann Arbor.
I feel I have a chance to make a genuine contribution to the church through my membership on this team. Deciding to be inclusive is often thought of as for the benefit of a special population, but my experience tells me it benefits the whole population.
The program materials are all available on the UUA's website. We invite you and your congregations to find out more about the program and its sacred challenge to live out our faith. You can learn more on the UUA and the Equal Access websites.
Thank you for helping us launch AIM, Accessibility and Inclusion Ministry.
Thank you. I've got 2 GA talks that I'd really like this community to hear. They're short. But I'd also, as moderator, entertain a motion to suspend the rules for the purpose of extending our adjournment to 4:45 so we can hear these important voices. We didn't have responsive resolutions, and we're not going to have the straw poll, but I'd like for you to hear these voices. So I would entertain such a motion. Someone so moved. Is there a second? Is there a vote to extend the debate, not to extend the time to 4:45? All in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Thank you very much. The motion carries. Thank you for that. And now I'd like to invite Sue Phillips and Hillary Allen to tell us about Faithify. Faithify. Where's Hillary?
She had to go to the airport.
Thanks. So it's just one of them.
Good afternoon, beloved delegates. Good afternoon, beloved moderator. I'm Sue Phillips, and it's my pleasure to tell you about Unitarian Universalism's crowdfunding website, Faithify. So how many of you have heard of Faithify? All right, that's what I want to see. So for those of you who have never heard of crowdfunding, the simplest explanation is this. People like you have ideas, you share those ideas with other people or the crowd, and that crowd gives money to help those ideas come to life. You may have heard of or used Kickstarter or Indiegogo or GoFundMe, and now Our Faith has its own crowdfunding site. Faithify launched at General Assembly last year, you may remember, and since then, well, check this out. Look what we've done together. So each of you has probably been in some conversation at some point where someone's great idea, maybe even yours, has been met with, "We don't have money for that." Has that ever happened to you? Well, with Faithify, there's almost always money for that. You just have to go and get it. 77% of our projects are successful. Almost all of them have exceeded their goal, and yours can too. Faithify's crowd is growing. As of yesterday, we had 9,000 returning visits to the site. That means 9,000 times people like you have returned to faithify.org to check out what's there, and many of those visits turn into donations. So think about Faithify this way. It neutralizes, we don't have money for that. But it's also about so much more. It allows us to bring our ideas out into the open and lets us learn from each other in public. There's inherent value, I think, in that learning and that exposure above and beyond the money we raise. So many Faithify projects, you may have noticed this, have served outreach efforts or supported beyond communities, which makes total sense because these communities are often comfortable using new technology. But you don't have to use Faithify for something innovative or new just because crowdfunding is a newer medium. We encourage you to post projects projects related to everyday congregational life. Basically, anything you can dream up, you can Faithify. So Faithify is a simple way to light a fuse on your good idea. Every experienced leader, all of you here know that generating good ideas is really the easy part. What can be challenging is communicating your ideas to your people, inspiring their support, and giving those people concrete ways to express their enthusiasm. That's what Faithify gives you. We know that every flame needs oxygen. By posting projects on Faithify, people like you oxygenate the idea sphere around the rest of us. And now we have a place to inspire our own dreams, generate concrete ideas, and expand our imagination for what's possible. I think that's really cool, don't you? So Faithify is about raising money, but it's about so much more than that. So folks, let's go learn together. Let's get inspired together. Let's dream new dreams and hope new hopes together. Let's make more cool stuff happen. So I ask, what will you Faithify? Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. I've been checking that page out way too often, and my checkbook is getting lighter and lighter as a result of those programs that will capture you. I now welcome the Reverend Elizabeth Nguyen to another GA talk of YA at GA. Elizabeth?
Bless you for being here in this moment, late in the afternoon. I want you to go with me from this moment to my New Year's this year. The best part was not sitting on a dock on a frozen lake with friends watching the clouds come cover the stars. The best part was watching the University of Wisconsin Badgers win 34-31 against Auburn in overtime on the first day of 2015. All right? College football people, Midwesterners, where are my people? College football is in my culture. And while I used to be uneasy with my family's fandom, I've learned to love the belonging that the Badgers offered to my father when he first immigrated to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, fresh from refugee camps. I've learned to worry, yes, at the trauma, the racism, the gladiator spectacle. But if I'm honest, there is something so compelling about football, about helmets smacking and shoulders crashing, and my own simple analysis is this, that I have never truly learned how to own my anger. And so the anger of the football field, that conflict, that violence, that aggression is catharsis for what I never knew how to express. Before I was a Unitarian Universalist minister, I hung out in prisons, facilitating workshops on nonviolence. My mentors were incarcerated men who'd done many things out of want or need or love or sickness, and some out of anger. anger at people or powerlessness or the pain of the world. In those workshops, we draw a big iceberg with a tip just above the surface of the water. That tip was violence. Underneath the water were the feelings that led to violence. Anger, always a popular choice. At the bottom of the iceberg, we brainstormed the systems, ideas that created anger: racism, sexism, classism, heterosexism. Audre Lorde wrote this amazing speech, The Uses of Anger, about the middle of that iceberg, anger. She said, "To my sisters of color who, like me, still tremble their rage under harness, or who sometimes question the expression of our rage as useless and disruptive, I want to speak about anger, my anger, and what I've learned from my travels through its dominions." It has been a year of anger. In response to the non-indictment of the police officers who have killed Mike Brown, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, many names. Last week, I wept as I thought of the new names that I might add to this list: Cynthia Hurd, Tawanza Sanders, and I don't know what a day would look like when we don't add new names. At protests this year, I've been surrounded by anger and evidence of its usefulness, but even with thousands beside me up against a police line, I often couldn't feel my own anger. Shoulder to shoulder with youth in the center of their anger, shutting down streets, my anger, that anger, was stuck below the surface, somewhere between the systems that caused it and my ability to express it, my rage trembling under harness. I've said, "I'm so angry," and I said it just like that. It was true, and I couldn't even feel it, couldn't even show it, couldn't be like a young person, 15, who said she was so angry that she would stay in the streets until the police joined the protesters. Lord's words, "Every woman has a well-stocked arsenal of anger, potentially useful against those oppressions which brought that anger into being. Focused with precision, it can become a powerful source of energy, serving progress and change." A lot of very smart spiritual teachers say that we must in some way let go of our anger. But maybe that letting go is what we do after we know what it is, after we've learned to express it freely and without doing harm to ourselves and others, after we've used it with precision for good. There is no way to let go of what we don't know how to have. Audre Lorde's words again, "Anger has eaten clefts into my living only when it remained unspoken, useless to anyone." I had a temper in college. I would bang on cars when boys stuck their heads out the windows yelling catcalls. I was in my anger in those moments, and while I'm not proud of them, it could feel some kind of holy to be empowered by my anger instead of paralyzed by it, communicating my anger with those whose actions hurt me instead of turning it inward, cementing it into bitterness, distrust, despair. The thing that is true is that many of us are angry. I have heard you say this to me, that many of us are angry, that those of us who are stopped by cops and whose children and parents or siblings are dead, those of us who the systems support, who get friendly warnings from cops, who don't know anyone in prison, whose gated communities, private schools, and cars with doors locked keep us separate from our fellow humans, we who they say they are trying to protect are angry also. Thich Nhat Hanh says, breathing in, I know that anger has manifested in me. Hello, my little anger. And breathing out, I will take good care of you. He says it is like cooking potatoes. Your anger is a kind of potato, and you cannot eat a raw potato. Just as I pray that we do not inherit anger that is bitter, vengeful, cruel, May we also not inherit avoidance. May we embrace, hello, my little anger. And anger is how people who a year ago had never been to a protest ever, or maybe in the past decade, who did not have words to talk about race or racism, or who had forgotten those words, now join the freedom fighters who've been doing this work for decades. We are facilitating dialogues, we are planning direct actions, we are building movements, we are demanding prison abolition. Anger drives us from our comfort and our despair into the land of the doing. We get to live, Dr. Martin Luther King's words, the supreme task is to organize and unite people so that their anger becomes a transforming force. May we not be spectators to our anger, not let it be the providence of the football field or the young people in the streets. May we hold our little potatoes, recognize our anger, share it well and without harm, and put it to use for justice.
Preach it. Please give it up one more time for the Right Relationship team for this General Assembly. Come on out.
It's been a wonderful week, hasn't it? Yet again, we've made it. Can we get a round of applause for your 2015 Right Relationship team? This week, the whole team has been so thankful for the appreciation of many attendees. Everyone on this stage works hard to make sure you feel heard. We work hard to make sure the planning committee stays accountable to all of you. However, this doesn't mean that we are perfect. So first, before I report on our community, I would like to report on my team. This year, we did not have text messaging available for the Right Relationship team and did not provide that information clarifying that. We apologize. Once this week, an attendee tried to reach a team member who forgot about their meeting. Again, we apologize. Like all in the community, sometimes we drop the ball. All we can do is try to grow and move forward. As far as the rest of the conference, we've seen more than a few problematic moments. Largely, they revolve around all of us forgetting to check our own privilege. Male-bodied people refusing to respect bathroom spaces by pulling down bathroom signs and caution tape around urinals. Able-bodied people reserving space in shared spaces when other people with physical challenges simply need a place to sit. Folks with heteronormative identities or even dominant racial identities demanding knowledge from people of color, people with different sexual orientations, and people with different genders who are simply trying to enjoy their conference. I don't think I have to go into great detail when I say we can do better. I'd also like to hold up that because this is a large conference, sometimes there will be competing needs. Sometimes two people who are differently abled may have to find a compromise. The team is happy to report that despite the many challenges we faced this week, many of us also stuck to our values, compromised, worked out our differences without the Right Relationship team's help. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to our chaplains. You really helped us this year.
It has come to our attention that the piece from our morning report where Jim talked about his experience landed for some as if we were attempting to shame Jim. I want to assure you that this was scripted with Jim. No moderators were shamed in the creation of the bit for you. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Right Relationship team for their work this year. And I would like to thank the General Assembly for trusting us and participating in the process. It has been an honor to serve this assembly over the past 3 years, and Razik and I stepped down this year as co-chairs. It is our pleasure to announce to you that next year's co-chairs of the Right Relationships team will be Lisa Bovey-Kemper and Stephen Ballesteros. I trust you will be as kind to them and their team as you have been to us. Remember to bring to your home locations all you've learned here. Notice your patterns of privilege. Be an ally even when it's uncomfortable, and directly address people in the places where you can. Have a great year, and I look forward to sitting out there with you next year.
We can do better. I can do better. I'd like to call on the Secretary of the Association, the Reverend Susie Ritchie, for a final credentials report and to clear my throat. Thank you.
Yes, we have our final numbers. We have had total delegates in attendance, 1,769 folks, representing 580 congregations. Our total registration period number is 4,508. Off-site, we've had 115 people participating, representing 83 congregations. Yes, yay, thank you for showing up. A few quick announcements. Your congregational banners should have been picked up by now, but if for some reason that didn't happen and you're looking for them and are surprised that you're not finding them, lost and found is the answer. Also, we've had some music stands go missing. We think they were probably just removed from this room into other rooms. If you know of a music stand that has run off, please return it to C-123. And then finally, I have the numbers for each of our collections over this period that we collected for the Living Tradition Fund, a total of $71,560. The final figure for GA scholarships is $18,860. And this morning, for the Reentry Transition Center, we collected $66,933. So thank you for your generosity.
Thanks, Susan. Guess what? We get to do this all over again next year. So welcome Laura Howell to give us a sneak preview of what's in store.
Hello, my name is Laura Howe, and I'd like to welcome you to Columbus, Ohio for GA 2016. You will find Columbus to be a unique, exciting, unexpected, open, and smart city. We have video. GA will be held at the Columbus Convention Center. There's not... Okay, GA will be held at the Columbus Convention Center. To the north of the Convention Center, there's not supposed to be sound.
Let me talk to the tech deck. We canceled this in consideration of time. We really want to see a video on Columbus.
What do you think
It's unique, exciting, unexpected, open, and smart. Here we go.
All righty. So G is going to be at the Columbus Convention Center. To the north of the Convention Center is Short North with iron work arches over the main streets. It's a really vibrant community with gallery hops, fine restaurants, and bars. Across from the Convention Center is North Market, which has many food vendors with fresh vegetables, meals, chocolate, and ice cream. Did you know that Columbus has been noted as an up-and-coming gay city by bestgaycities.com? The weekend before GA comes to Columbus will be the Columbus Pride Weekend, with the largest pride parade in the Midwest with over 300,000 people. There are parks throughout the city and along the Scioto River. You're going to find easy bike rental and buses to get around. The closest park to the convention center is the home for ComFest, the weekend of GA. This is an annual community festival with an active group of volunteers, a focus on reuse and recycle, and entertainment. I invite you to experience Columbus June 22nd through 26th for GA 2016. Please come.
Thanks, Laura. Well, here we are again, 5 days later, after 42 hours of programming, approximately 175 workshops, 10 hours of worship, and Dr. Cornell West. What a week. It takes an incredible number of volunteers and staff to bring this 5-day event to you. And I want to thank them, and I want to have as many as possible. That's a long line over there, isn't it? Join me here on the stage. First, the GA Planning Committee, who spend an inordinate amount of time and energy pulling off this event. Chip Roush and his team, come on up. And they did it without the palette. Thanks to Jan Snegas, General Assembly and Conferences Director, and her staff, Don Plant, Stacy Dixon, and Steve Ranson. Thanks to the many volunteers from across the country who contribute their time as well. The witty and charming Denise Rhymes and her ushers and tellers, as many as possible. Can you come up? The many volunteers from Oregon who were organized by Ken Wheeler, the district GA coordinator. Where's he? Right there. There he is. Good deal. The Tech Deck, who organized the slides, videos, the off-site delegates, the closed captioning, and put up with me substituting videos and all sorts of things. The Meet Green folks, organized by Aaron Elliott. Are any of them in the hall? Our chaplains, chaired by Reverend Jennifer Brooks. I suspect she's busy, but if she's here, we'd like to have her join us. Our Right Relations team, co-chaired by Mr. Barb Grieve and Razik Brown. You just met them, bring them back. The Worship Arts team, chaired by the Reverend Carolyn Paterno. The Program Development Group, chaired by Renee Ruhutske and Gail Forsyth-Vale. And our attorneys, Dewey, Cheatham, and Tom Bean. What a group. What a group. Give it up. I now call for the official adjournment of the Assembly. Is there a motion from the board?
Moved that this General Assembly is now adjourned.
All those in favor of adjourning, please so signify by raising your voting cards one last time. Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.